Right, we are back. How are you
Heidi ho
guys doing
neighbors.
today?
Pretty nifty.
Yeah,
What about you guys?
I saw your cover of the Prince Batman soundtrack.
Yes, it is the anniversary of the release of Prince's Batman soundtrack.
Awesome. Do you?
35 years.
Oh my God. So,
All right, sorry, I'm making a few notes. I do have some. Uh, I we had to choose our songs, right? And
huh.
it was really hard to do. Like there are a lot of really great songs, so I have a little honorable mention section that I'm gonna uh, I have to throw shout out to these ballads.
All right. Awesome. All right. So, uh, what's your first honorable mention?
Oh, okay. If we're gonna dive directly into it, so I have to throw three movies out there,
Uh huh.
and they are like quintessential like power ballad songs for these movies, and it just made them more epic. And that's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I know exactly, but I know exactly what's everything I do. I do it for you, Brian Adams.
Yes. Uh,
Yes.
Zorro.
Okay, that one I don't know.
There's a
Oh,
song from The Mask of Zorro.
yes.
I don't remember the song.
In credits, it was on the soundtrack. I had the score, but that song was including on with the score because that was the only it was made for the movie. It didn't have an actual album. It just had that one song. So
Oh yeah,
Ah,
I got the same thing with Batman Returns. It's mainly the score from the movie, and then there's that one song he did with Susie and the Banshees.
Face to
yes,
Face. It's played
Yes.
during the masquerade party at Shrek
Yeah.
right.
when they're dancing.
Yeah.
Wayne
It's a
and
pretty it's a
Selena
really
Kyle.
good power ballad that they did for Zorro. It's pretty good. It's pretty catchy. But
Okay.
Three Musketeers.
Uh huh.
That's
Oh,
Brian
awful wonder.
Adams, Sting, and Rod Stewart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember that one too. So you picked two Brian Adams songs.
Well, another one. No, actually, I don't think that's. I can't remember if this is Brian Adams or not, but from Don Juan DeMarco.
When when you really love a woman, I think.
Yes. Have you
Oh God.
ever loved a woman, or when
Yes.
you love a
Okay,
woman?
I'm looking this up because I'm pretty sure it is. Uh,
And one more, and then I'm done. And that's Lethal Weapon 3. It's
That Eric
probably
Clapton.
yeah.
Eric Clapton's. It's probably me. That's a great catchy. I think it fits the movie really well, and I thought it was. I've loved it ever since I heard it. That's a highlight to starting Lethal Weapon 3 for me. So
Oh, so fun, fun little thing I noticed. There's actually a YouTube video that's a sort of a fan video, but it starts out with the opening credits from Lethal Weapon 3, and they just splice in scenes from the movie for the rest of the song.
Oh,
Yeah, but look, also the Don Juan DeMarco song, that is also Brian Adams.
wow.
Yeah.
I had to throw those out. Those are honorable mentions for me. I've always liked those songs. They're just really great, kind of cheesy '90s romantic, power
Yeah.
ballads. That's the best way I can describe them.
It's kind of funny. I was like the first mention. Everything I do it for you. When I was in sixth grade, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came out, and that was the song that we played in my sixth grade band. And then, the high school band did it, and the band director, who's a sax player, um, rest in peace, Dr. Payne. Um, but he like he did this solo, and he killed it.
Nice.
uh,
Well,
but
what do
yeah,
you? Oh, I'm
come
sorry.
again.
I was going to ask if y'all had any honorable mentions that you would like to throw in.
I do, and I'll just mention one because you could almost do a topic on this whole category, and that's Bond themes. Um,
Oh,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
you could
Oh,
do almost a whole show on that. My personal favorite is Goldfinger, but the one I'm going with is
Shirley
one,
Bassey.
yeah, Shirley Bassey. But the one I'm going with for my honorable mention, and I'm showing my age of when I was introduced to Bond, and that's going to be Tina Turner's Golden Eye.
Ooh, yeah,
uh,
that opening
I
slaps.
it's funny that most people now know the game better than they know the actual movie. Cause
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was Pierce Brosnan's first outing as Bond too.
that was my
yep.
first Bond in the theater, and that
Same,
got me hooked
same.
on James Bond. Like I saw all of the. Um, I missed a few of the Daniel Craigs, but I did get to see the run of Pierce Brosnan's James Bond. I saw all of those in
Yeah,
the theater, and that was a really fun '90s experience for me. I really enjoyed watching the progression of his James Bond and
yeah.
the
Okay,
the
since
'90s cheese.
okay, since you mentioned James Bond, Cody, I got a couple to mention. My two favorite Bond theme songs: "A View to a Kill" by Duran Duran,
Yep, that rules.
and um, "Live and Let Die" by Paul
Yep,
McCartney and Wings. Not
that's prob
only, in my opinion, the best Bond song, but also Paul McCartney's best song of his whole career.
My my two honorable Bond mentions because none of them made my list. I decided to leave them off because again that's a whole nother topic, you know. But um, we have all the time in the world,
hmm
Yeah.
Louis
and
Armstrong.
and I love Armstrong and I love the instrumental. And believe it or not, look up Iggy Pop's version of it,
Oh.
and I really
Okay.
enjoy it. I really enjoy that version of the song too. But we have all the time in the world, and Adele's was it Skyfall?
Skyfall. Yes,
Yeah,
Towards
that's a good
great.
one.
that
That's very reminiscent of the classy bluesy Bond themes.
like
Yeah.
that theme just nailed everything James Bond. Like that made me think of every James Bond rolled into one. Like it was just such an elegant, like you said, going back to the classy Bond themes. Because we've had everyone from Garbage to uh, Madonna to all these different stars over
Yeah.
the Paul McCartney.
Gladys
You know,
Gladys Knight did
everyone's
one.
yeah.
Gladys Knight did License to Kill.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of had a crack. There's been all sorts of genre of Bond theme, from a disco to the '60s instrumentals, all the way up Shirley Bassey and
She did
uh,
3 Bond themes.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Oh.
those are my two picks. Those are
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
My actual honorable mention. Some of you guys probably have already seen them on the Facebook group. One I mentioned is "Maniac" by Michael Cimbello. I
Hmm.
kind of gave a small history of it. Like he originally wrote it for a slasher movie, but it got rejected, so he got shelved. But Flashdance came out, and they asked him to do a song, so he reworked the song for that movie and kept the slasher movie feel vibe to it, and it really worked, honestly. Um, let's see another honorable mention. Um, the This is just one of my favorite jams, but "Spin That Wheel" by High Tech 3 featuring Ya Kid K in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, it
is that the
was a
song playing in the Shredder's lair when like all the
yeah.
kids are like skateboarding and
It's
Sam Rockwell's talking about cigarettes?
Oh, no. That one is an MC Hammer song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, this is um I it wasn't originally written for the movie, and listening, I found a more complete version, and they had to edit the hell out of it for a PG movie. The um, one of the lyrics is "Have a party, yes indeed. I'll smoke this mic like weed." Uh, and since you mentioned it, it's like since you actually bought the soundtrack, Chris, I can't help but give a shout out to one of those Prince songs, the very first track on the Batman soundtrack, "The Future."
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
The one
Yeah,
I love is Party Man.
yeah. The I
Party
why
man. Yeah.
I was like, why nobody has ever made a video of that song to Batman Beyond is beyond me.
So how
But
do you guys feel about the Shaun of the Dead joke with the Batman soundtrack?
oh, I gotta rewatch that movie. uh,
I'm trying to. I can vaguely picture it. It's been a minute since I've watched it
So
as
they're
well.
so they're throwing records because they're trying to figure out how to hit the zombies. And he's
oh,
like, "Don't do that! Don't throw that one." They're like, "Batman soundtrack." He's like, "Toss it."
oh,
Oh, wah, wah.
or it might have been the Schumacher Batmans, but honestly, as bad as the Schumacher movies are, those soundtracks are pretty fire.
Yeah, you might hear one of those. We might be discussing one of those songs later.
Yeah. All right. So we have our
So,
honorable mentions. So let's go with our first pick. Say, Cody, you start.
Okay, so my first pick is a classic. I don't think it started the trend of soundtracks because I think there had been title songs or movies or songs that were made specifically for movies, but I feel like this soundtrack and this song made the soundtrack a bigger deal than it was up until this time, and that's Simon and Garfunkel's Mrs. Robinson from The Graduate.
oh yeah,
Ah, that one.
that's a good one.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
Yeah.
a. Oh, yeah. I'm actually typing this out to put it on our display. So,
Yeah, like I said, I know there had been movies with songs before, but I feel like this song and that soundtrack made it like, oh, let's get contemporary artists to do music for our movies and like made the soundtrack a big deal, but probably bigger than it had been before,
yeah.
other than for like musicals.
This is I'm a bad movie nerd to say this, but I've never seen The Graduate.
No, that's okay.
The spouse.
Um,
The thing is, the spouse has, because they took a screenwriting class.
mhm.
They hated it.
There's
The,
definitely some problematic things
they
about The Graduate.
yeah, the like uh in their words, everyone in that movie is an awful person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not wrong, but
Yeah.
I mean, the soundtrack to me slaps. It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Actually, didn't Simon and Garfunkel do the whole soundtrack, not just Mrs.
Yes.
Robinson? Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's that and The Sound of Silence.
And Scarborough Fair. There's a lot of Simon and Garfunkel music, and of course, of course, The Graduate's made at the in the late '60s with the New Hollywood, and of course, having contemporary artists of the time period do the soundtrack.
And
Yeah, it's
not only that, they were kind of on the verge of that whole film school group kind of overtaking Hollywood.
Yeah.
When that,
right. This is a Mike Nichols film, so he's not quite of he's he wasn't old enough to be part of the old guard, but he wasn't young enough to be part of the film school generation.
yeah. So, what is it that you like about this particular song?
I mean, it's got a good beat. It's got catchy lyrics. It's got pop culture references. I'm not sure how many songs up before then had pop culture references because they mentioned Joe DiMaggio in this song.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Um, so, Chris, any thoughts on that one?
No, I'm with Cody. I think it's been a little while since I've seen the film, but man, the soundtrack slaps. Like it all has so many recognizable songs on it, and yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well,
Definitely a
it's
classic.
yeah, it's funny. The first time I actually heard that song was a cover in Wayne's World 2.
Is that the Lemon? Are the Lemonheads? Is that who does it?
I
The
think
Living
so. Yeah,
Hits. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
this same.
because they make a graduate joke in. There's a graduate gag with Charlton Heston in Wayne's World too.
Yeah,
oh, is Charlton Heston in The Graduate or just having a fat
No,
cameo? Okay,
no, he's not.
yeah,
Maybe they couldn't get Dustin Hoffman to do it.
yeah. He probably like Dustin Hoffman was still was a pretty big actor back then too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was still doing stuff in the '90s.
Yeah. My cat used her litter box. Now she's gonna want a treat. Here, here she is. All right, all right. So yeah, but that was when I first heard Mrs. Robinson in Wayne's World 2. I didn't get to hear the original until a few years later, and I didn't understand that one reference from The Simpsons where um, it's like, yeah, it was Dustin Hoffman who did a guest voice for the substitute teacher. But, yeah, but and like Mrs. Krabappel was trying to um, well, no, he actually says, Mrs. Krabappel, you're trying to seduce me.
Which I think they make a graduate gag in the first American Pie as well. But you hearing a cover
Uh huh.
just shows you how famous and synonymous this song is that it's popular enough to get a recognizable cover song too.
Yeah. Um, so, all right. So, moving on. So, Chris, what's your first pick?
my first pick. All right, so man, this I remade and remade this list because there are so many great ballads and songs and just so many so really, really awesome. So much awesome stuff out there that has been made just specifically for movies. And I changed this as of like 1:30 this morning as I was laying there, like going through these. I've been listening
Wow.
every night just to different movie songs and my favorites and kind of going over it in my head. And I found myself going back to these uh three songs like the most.
Yeah.
So here's my first one because the other two are the exact same artist.
Yeah.
so it's always look on the bright side of life.
Monty
Ah,
Python and the Holy
yes.
Grail.
Life of
Yes,
Brian.
Life of
Oh,
Brian, Eric Idle. Uh, that song always cheers me up. Matter of fact, that's a song that I've requested to be played at my memorial with the little bouncy ball and everything. Uh, so when it comes down to it, it's hilarious. It sends a good message. Life is kind of shitty sometimes, but you got to kind of look on the bright side of it.
yeah. It is a very catchy song. Even though I'm gonna be honest, Life of Brian, not my favorite Monty Python film.
Well, most people's favorite, at least in the States, is the Holy Grail. And they do play it at the end of Spamalot, the musical version they did. But yeah, it's catchy, it's hilarious, and especially at the point in the movie where they play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always that's always been a bright spot. Like I have been battling a lot with depression, and that song cups that song has always been a pick me up. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty
This
darn fun.
Yeah, it's like I said, it is a catchy tune. Even if, again, um, it's like uh, Life of Brian isn't my favorite Python film. It'll probably be my favorite Python song. Um, it's like, and also personally, my favorite is Holy. It goes Holy Grail, Meaning of Life, then Life of Brian.
Ah,
Nice.
Yeah,
My second favorite Monty Python song is the Universe song from Meaning of
from
Life.
Meaning of Life. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one I still need to look that up. It's um, I think I saw it probably once in the dorm room, once all the way in the dorm room of one of the guys from band.
It's pretty good. It's
Yeah,
another catchy tune from Eric Idle.
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Actually thinking about that, why didn't they say get Eric Idle to do the song for one of the songs for Transformers the movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. Any, but yeah, it's a very peppy tune and definitely helps. Say, um, definitely can pick you up if you're in a bad mental spot. Oh God,
Yeah.
sorry, my lunch has been uh, aggressively fighting me. I'll just put it like that.
Oh.
Um, yeah. So, any
But
any
anyway,
other?
yeah. That's my first pick. So
Yeah. So also, I think at least for me, I feel like we should I should say that my picks are not in any particular order. These are just some of the songs I come back to time and again for um, for whatever reason. Then I enjoy the song. This first pick is probably going to be my most hardcore of all the movie soundtrack songs, but the movie it comes from is pretty hardcore itself, and that is How to Survive in South Central by Ice Cube
Mm.
from the Boys in the Hood soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, well, first of all, Boys in the Hood, that was the first time I even heard of Ice Cube. And, like, I I am from, like, middle of nowhere, East Texas. You know,
Right.
we we did. My mom would not let me listen to NWA,
Mm.
and then, but even so, like, God, I want to say I was either 10 or 11 when Boys in the Hood came out, and even then I didn't even see that um, until it came on HBO like 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, it's a really groundbreaking film. Not only was John Singleton the first African American to be nominated for Best Director, he was the youngest person to ever be nominated for that category.
Yeah, that's yeah. Boys in the Hood actually broke a lot of ground and also started a lot of unfortunate trends
Hmm.
Yeah.
because it was it was so successful, especially in black communities, that uh, for a while, um, the only the only um, output that we could get with a black cast was either Tyler Perry or just low budget gangsta cheese. There were maybe a couple of rom coms in the peppered in there, mm, but there wasn't a lot of variety. Like there were
Hmm.
some black leading actors, um, like Wesley Snipes in Blade, but um, no, there aren't all that many genre movies with a majority black cast. Like the first one that came to mind is Black Panther,
Hmm.
which had
Um,
which has an awesome soundtrack in and of itself.
yes, it does. It has an amazing soundtrack by Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
Do you guys remember what Lawrence Fishburne's name is in the movie Boys in the Hood?
Furious.
Furious Steel. That's his name.
Very.
I think it's Styles actually.
Is it Styles? Okay,
Yes.
but still, that his name is Furious. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And I
Yeah.
think he was only 6 or 7 years older than Cuba Gooding Jr.
Well, yeah, but he had that stern father thing down, and from what I read, that um, it's like the character of Furious is based on John Singleton's own father. That whole movie was based on him growing up in South Central Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, and I know a lot of people. Uh, it was the movie itself was groundbreaking, and also that was Ice Cube's screen debut. Like he
Yes, it
never,
was. Yeah.
yeah, he never acted in a movie before, um, and I think he actually cast a gang member too.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's Ice Cube's song "How to Survive in South Central." I mean, it's kind of a bop. Even when
Hmm.
it's like you got lines like you keep talking about how the strong survive. Shit, the strong even die in South Central.
Yeah.
But um, I know I figured it's like you two guys, East Texas, probably didn't listen to much gangster rap back in the '90s.
I listened to a little bit, quite a bit in junior high, because my sister listened to it at that point. So, like, I heard the Tupac All Eyes on Me album a lot, which that came a little bit after this.
Oh my
I was gonna
god.
say. I was gonna say, yeah. My sisters also listened to that type of music. I grew up with a lot of like just oldies, classic rock, and rock and roll. stuff because of my dad. But when I say oldies, like tons of Motown and uh, stuff
Yeah,
like that. And my musical tastes have branched out a whole lot. So yeah, but thanks to my sister, I was introduced to that a lot of um, a lot of the older,
yeah,
the
gangs.
'90s
Yeah, the night
'90s
that
stuff.
was. Yeah, that was late '80s and early '90s. That was when that stuff really blew up.
Yeah.
And oh, and it's funny you mentioned Tupac because I remember exactly what I was doing the night Tupac died. I was at a football game against Southwest High School in Shreveport, Louisiana. Like, and oh God, I was gonna say murdered. That's like the wrong but worst possible thing to say about that night. But yeah, we beat them pretty bad. It was like 44-7, and then after the game, I was listening to one of the radio stations. They were playing nothing but Tupac, and I thought, oh, okay, that's weird. I was just too tired to even make the connection, and and then I woke up. Uh, the next morning and found out Tupac died that night. So it's like, oh,
Uh huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Another great, and I don't know if it was specifically made for the movie because it's on their own album, but it's used heavily in the film. I don't know if they were necessarily gangster rap, but they were of that era. But Public Enemy's Fight the Power and Do the Right Thing.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was. Yeah, I think Flavor Flav just let Spike use that movie. I don't think it was written specifically
Yeah, I
for the.
don't think it was specifically for the movie, but it just kind of goes synonymous now with that film.
But
So, what do you guys think of Ice Cube's, let's just say, evolution from, you know, hard hardcore gangster rapper to um, doing all these family films like Are We There Yet?
I mean, it's just the progression of being in show business, right? And then he's had
Yeah,
kids himself. In fact, his son played him in the
and
movie about NWA.
yeah, I still want to see that though. I have this thing for musician biopics, even though as a musician I know they're like completely inaccurate.
It's a fairly well made film, and his son did a really good job of playing him.
Yeah,
I mean, it helps that he looks just like him, but.
yeah, that makes it. Also, I wasn't Ice Cube one of the producers too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I believe Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were both producers on the film.
yeah. Well, that is again that is probably my most hardcore um, pick. So and it's a good song. It's like if there are any young preteens out there, don't listen to it around your parents. Uh,
What are you
but
talking about? Their parents are probably our age.
yes, exactly. And we're actually the parents who know. Well, I don't know if we're the parents who know better, but um, I've it's like there as speaking in as just a teacher, there have been many times when I've just had to realize, oh shit, I'm the adult in the room.
uh,
It's like though it's there have been several moments when had I've really kind of felt the age gap um, in my list of things I thought I never said as a teacher, never thought I would say as a teacher. And one of them is, can you please refrain from discussing stories about your conceptions?
Okay then.
Yeah, and another is we do not whip our belts around our heads like nunchucks.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
So who want like to go to next?
All right, Cody, if we just want to go in order like we've been
Okay.
going, what's your second pick?
Okay, my second pick, I felt like there needed to be a soundtrack song that either features the title of the movie or the title of the character. This is something we don't get anymore, and we got like all the time in the 70s and the 80s, maybe even in the 90s still too. And this might be the most iconic title song that not only is the title of the movie, but it's also the title of the main character in the movie, and also
I
was a
know.
revolutionary.
I
You
think I know where
probably
you're
know what
going
I'm
with
about to
this.
say.
Yeah.
And it was pretty revolutionary because it also won the Oscar for Best Song that year. Uh, talking about, Nick, you're talking about, people of color not being leads in the movie or in genre films. Well, I'm going with Isaac Hayes' Shaft.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
all around classic.
I had once upon a time. I had a CD of three different remixes of the theme from Shaft, as well as music from Shaft's Big Score and Shaft in Africa.
I've
Nice.
Like,
actually never seen these sequels. I've only seen the original and the reboot slash remake slash whatever it is with Samuel L. Jackson, the first one, not the one
yeah.
they did like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw the one with Samuel L. Jackson, too, and yeah, Christian Bale makes a very convincing racist in that movie.
Well, it's the same year he did American Psycho, so he's kind of playing a similar version of Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, that
Also
sounds about right.
directed by John Singleton, the remake was, or the new updated version.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a lot of. It's like after. It seems like after Boys in the Hood, John Singleton's been. Well, for a lot of his career, he was doing a few genre movies. Like, he did Too Fast, Too Furious.
And Four Brothers.
Yeah. Um,
And then his last movie, sadly, was a Taylor Lautner action film.
that is sad. but but yes, theme from Shaft. I can totally get that. I actually played that in college jazz band a couple once.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a cool song and completely fits the vibe of the movie and the character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
And
groovy.
I mean, not only did I guess help kickstart, I think Sweetback's Badass Song was before Shaft,
Yeah.
but I think Shaft made the Black exploitation era more marketable because this was a huge hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also funny thing. That was um the first another song where the first time I heard it, it was covered, but it was more of a karaoke cover. It karaoke by Bart and Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons.
Okay, I
Yeah,
guess I've never heard that.
it's one of the earlier seasons. Bart, it's like the whole family goes to a sushi restaurant, and Homer tries sushi for the first time, and he loves it. So he ends up ordering blowfish, which is poisonous, and they thought they was, and the whole episode he thought he was gonna die.
Wow. Nice.
But yes, in that episode, Bart and Lisa sing the theme from Shaft.
Uh,
And I'm
Uh,
pretty sure most of the movies of that genre and era, they had a title song to either the title or the main character of the film.
yeah, actually, one thing I do know about the black exploitation genre, Curtis Mayfield's soundtrack for Superfly. So
Hmm.
far, it is Superfly is the only movie to be outgrossed by its own soundtrack.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's an iconic
Yeah.
soundtrack as well.
Yeah, like I've never seen Superfly, but um, like I think the fact that um, happened is pretty funny because um, growing up in the '90s, we would see all these movies, and they advertise the soundtrack in the TV trailers. But
Yeah.
and if my um, my rule of thumb at the time was, if the songs are good, the movie is bad.
Well, it's not always the rule, but that does happen a lot.
It happens more. It happens enough to where I made a rule for it.
Capcom
So,
Godzilla.
oh God, it's like, uh, I kind of
Godzilla had
sort of
some great
actually did.
music.
I actually kind of did sort of like Godzilla '98,
Oh,
but
I enjoy it too. Like it's hard to not enjoy it for the cheese.
yeah, but I will. I
It's
This is one of those
super
hills I will
90s.
die on. This is one of those few times where the animated adaptation actually improved upon the movie.
Ah,
Yeah,
I've heard that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I actually have the whole series on DVD, and yeah, it actually holds up. But it's done by that same animation company that made Extreme Ghostbusters and Men in Black.
okay,
oh
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So and they actually had some really good. It's like, um, well, those two were actually pretty good.
Right.
Uh, all right, so theme from Shaft, awesome song, awesome to listen to, and in my case, awesome to play. Uh, I and Isaac Hayes was a musical genius. Like
absolutely.
even when he was uh, doing songs as chef, those turn out to be bangers.
Yeah.
Walk on by is probably my favorite of his.
Well, and even before he became a legendary artist himself, he was writing a lot of Sam and Dave's biggest hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of there's a lot about that era which I really don't. I'm not going to go into it because we don't have time.
Yes.
Right.
All right. So, Chris, what's your next pick?
Okay. Well, this one's really 90s. Again, it's a song that I go back to every once in a while. I think it's a good song. And I really like the artist. I think she has a lot of good songs in her catalog, and that's Annie Lennox. And I'd have to go with the Love Song for a Vampire from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, actually, when you mentioned that last night, I actually re-listened to that song, and yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but it definitely fit the mood of the movie.
Yeah, it's not everybody's favorite. I know a lot of people are like, "What?" And I'm like, I for some reason when I listen to it, I'm just like, man, I can picture Keanu with that bad accent and
Oh,
all the great special effects in that movie and just the 90s cheese that it is. Uh, and I think it's a good
I don't find that
song.
movie cheesy at all though, honestly.
no, Bram Stoker's
Well, I
Dracula
mean,
is.
other than Keanu's accent, that's one of my top movies. That's one of my favorite. Yeah, I would have to put it in the top 10 movies.
I
Uh,
mean,
my
it's a
category.
great movie. You know, Keanu, maybe not the best actor for that part, but I'm not going to say anything because Keanu is like one of the nicest people in Hollywood. And,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's wonderful. But
who would turn down the opportunity to work with Francis Ford Coppola?
I
exactly.
absolutely adore that film from the everything from the costumes to the way he told the story to the special effects that they used to the the score
Yeah.
itself is
Yeah.
amazing. I tracked that CD down. It took me 5 or 6 years because back in the day it used to be a specialty order CD because it was rare and it was over $100. And every time I would go into Hastings, that's the first place I would go to in the soundtracks was the B or the D section to see if that soundtrack had been put in there. And I finally found it one day, and I was probably the happiest day of my life. And then here, like a couple of years ago, they re-released it, so there's like plenty of copies out there floating around, and you can hear it all
Yeah.
on YouTube now. And but uh, to me, it was a really hard and sought after soundtrack, and it took me several years because there was no way I could play 100 plus for a CD, back then.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's
but not only that, but I'm a fan of Annie Lennox, and I think she did a good job. It fits the movie really well, and I don't know, I enjoy it. So I think it's a cool song.
no. I kind of want to. I do have the opportunity to do it now. I want to rewatch Bram Stoker's Dracula now that I have technically read the book.
Yeah, I think you'll get more out of it.
Yeah,
It's
because
a pretty faithful adaptation.
yeah, like the only thing they kind of changed about it is in the book Lucy is a lot more innocent.
Hmm.
Yeah, and in the movie she kind of they kind of made her into the slut that gets killed in the that basic horror movie trope.
Right.
Hmm.
But um, also, and it's it was interesting reading the book and seeing what was happening through all the other characters' points of view.
Hmm.
Yeah. But and also as far as it is, I I'm not gonna lie, it is a good song. Again, not one of my favorites. I think my favorite from her would be well, basically any Eurythmics song.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a actually I do have a live recording of her doing "Would I Lie to You," and then in the middle of the song, it just breaks into "Day Tripper." Yeah.
Nice.
So it'd have been a hoot to see her live, but yeah, it is a very good good pick.
Yeah, I think it kind of covers the basis of also being a '90s power ballad
Yeah,
in
Hmm.
that era of Robin Hood and Three Musketeers, and you know,
yeah, yeah. So any further thoughts on this song before we move on? All right, so I guess it's my turn. So technically, this is not a song that was written for a movie, but again, it kind of goes back to what we were saying. It was sung by one of the actors in that movie, and that is Juliette Lewis's cover of "I Can Hardly Wait" from the Stranger Days soundtrack.
yeah,
Yeah,
some good grungy
such a
stuff.
cool movie, and uh, such a cool just that the songs in that cool too. But
He has
what's
a pretty
interesting
great
about
voice.
that movie is I think it was like an allegory for the LA riots at the time. But if you watch it now, it still feels relevant because of the Black Lives Matter and all that stuff going on in our society right now, and
Oh
police brutality and everything.
hell,
But
it's not. it's more accurate in more ways than one. Than one of the establishing moments of that movie, there's this call-in show where some guy says, because the whole movie takes place during New Year's Eve, 1999, and
Hmm.
somebody said nothing changes New Year's Day. I think that might have been a shout out to U2's song, and
Also, I don't know if you guys remember, but when this was streaming on Max last year, the whole internet exploded because this movie's been hard to find as a digital copy because it hasn't been released on Blu-ray or 4K yet. There's just a DVD of it if you can find it, which I
oh, I
stumbled
actually do.
upon a copy of it and I have it.
Oh, I actually had the letterbox edition of the VHS because
Uh,
that was because yeah, Strange Days is still one of my all-time favorite movies, um, and one of the things I wanted to mention is like one of the guys says gas costs $3 a gallon. Fifth grade kids are shooting each other at recess. So it's like, ooh yeah, that
Yep.
kind of hits differently in this year of 2024.
it's
Hmm.
that same feeling you get when you watch Idiocracy.
Or V for Vendetta, for
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
matter.
Huh.
yeah, I would say more V for Vendetta than Idiocracy.
Yeah. Well, that's a good. Not only does she have a great band, but that's a really good choice.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
was, and I remember looking at some of the behind the scenes featurettes. They were gonna have somebody else do the singing, but they found out that Juliet can sing, so they just had her do the song. And I also listened to a lot of her stuff with Juliet and the Kicks, and yeah, she's got a pretty good music career going on. Like, um, she probably she's probably doing all of this for fun since you know due to a lot of the royalties she gets and the music and the money she makes touring, she really doesn't have to work.
Right. And her dad was a
Hmm.
pretty well known.
Yeah, Jeffrey Lewis,
Yeah.
but uh, yeah,
So, hey, James Cameron, if you're stumbling on YouTube and find this, let's get a Blu-ray of Strange Days because you
Right.
wrote
yeah,
and produced it.
oh yeah, and it's like
Huh.
directed by one of his ex-wives. I will never get tired of saying one of his ex-wives
Catherine
because
Bigelow.
my it's like I kind of have a running it's like running joke that James Cameron cheats on his work with women.
Well, he's been married to Susie Amos for over 20 years now.
Yeah, but then I also find it funny that she beat him out for the Oscar
Yeah, when
because
she won for the Hurt Locker.
I thought it was Zero Dark 30.
No, she won for the Hurt Locker because it was the same year Avatar came out.
Okay, yeah, it's like, but James Cameron, to his credit, he was a very gracious loser.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Tarantino, on the other hand,
Yeah, he still wants that Best Director Oscar, even though he has two screenplay Oscars.
yeah, but again, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, if you ever the song for those of you who don't know, the song is originally by PJ Harvey. Both versions are awesome. I recommend anybody who wants to check it out to do so, and also check out Strange Days, the movie as well. It is a very good neo noir cyberpunk murder mystery.
Right.
Agreed. It's an amazing film. You should check it out if you
All
can
right,
find it.
great. So moving on.
Oh, I was gonna find my Strange Days DVD
Oh, okay.
because it's so hard to find. Uh, where did I put it? I just got a new media storage because we got a new couch, so we got a sectional. So we had to get rid of our old DVD holder.
Uh, so
So
so while Cody's looking for that, I just want to give a honorable mention to another song that was on the Strange Days soundtrack, "Selling Jesus" by Skunk Anansi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. Like I always heard it in the different parts of the movie, and they used it in the trailer, but I never listened to the song proper until a couple of years ago, and wow, that is definitely, um,
there it is.
uh,
Oh nice.
yes.
Found it at an in-laws. He was getting rid of his DVDs, and I was like, "I'm taking this. There's no digital copy of this movie."
Also, yeah, Angela Bassett was so, like, that was what made me think she should play Storm in the X-Men movies.
Yeah, she absolutely should have played Storm in the X-Men movies, and she still could have done it in the year 2000 because she was only 42 at the time.
Right.
Oh, 42. It's like in another episode of What Am I Doing with My Life?
But yeah, Strange Days, an amazing movie. Um, so yeah, James Cameron, get on a Blu-ray 4K of this, please.
Yes. All right. So next, our last picks.
All right. Well, it's another song from the summer of '95, so I guess that's a big year for me. Um, I think this song is probably more popular now than the movie it's from, even though it's from a franchise and a character they keep making different interpretations of. And this was definitely a different interpretation of that character. But this song is absolutely amazing. And if you want to talk about power ballads from the '90s, you can't get any more than Seal's "Kiss from a Rose" from
I
Batman Forever.
oh my
That
God,
was a huge
yeah.
deal. That was a huge deal.
And did you guys know Joel Schumacher directed the music video as well?
I remember hearing
Yes,
that.
yes, I remember. Some people said I look like Seal.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah,
there you go. That's a compliment. I don't,
yeah.
unless they're being racist.
No, they were being legit, I think. But
Okay.
yes, that is actually one of my favorite songs from the Batman Forever soundtrack. Um, yeah. So, oh, sorry. Spouse is doing the dinner song for our cat. But um, and also, I think as far as the actual movie goes, it felt like a step in the right direction because it gave something no other Batman movie gave Batman, and that's character development.
Yeah, I wish the rest of the movie was as strong as the Bruce Wayne story arc because I'm just not a fan of the Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones performances as those villains.
Actually, I think I rewatched it a few months ago, and you know, Jim, their performance just didn't offend me. It was I kind of
They're
didn't.
not bad, they're just not the characters. Like Two-Face would not keep flipping his coin till he got the result he wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
And they're both kind of playing versions of the Joker instead of the Riddler and Two-Face.
It was very 1960s Batman.
It
yeah,
is, but it's also hypersexual because Nicole Kidman is just all horned up for Batman.
and let's
Yeah,
not forget the form-fitting nipples on the bat suit.
Yep, at the end, and everything's in bright neon.
But I
But I understand they wanted a huge contrast from what Burton did to Batman Returns because they were so offended, and all these parents, I guess, were rioting in the streets to burn down Warner Brothers.
well, it did have the one song from the Flaming Lips that I really enjoyed. So
is that the Bad Days?
Bad Days. Yeah.
Yes,
I
Is
like
that on the
that's
Batman Forever soundtrack too? Because
yes, it was.
on the Flaming
yeah,
Lips. I love
I
the Flaming Lips, and I'm a Wayne Coyne fan. So
that
yeah,
that was
eh,
one of my favorite lines in that song. Says, "And you hate your boss at your job, but in your dreams you
oh
can
yeah.
blow his head off. In your dreams, show no mercy." Like that is
Also,
probably
maybe the last good U2 song.
yeah,
yeah. That is. I will agree with that. But "Kiss from a Rose" that was the soundtrack single, and
yeah.
him
Yep.
just
I
singing so
heard that all over the
soulfully
radio.
right in front of the bat signal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like, but yeah, that is. I know so many people, especially back in the '90s and the early 2000s, they dunked on Schumacher so much because of particularly Batman and Robin, but generally both his Batman movies. But the thing is, he's made good movies before and
And
since.
after.
Yes, like
I
Time
mean,
to Kill,
he,
probably one of the best courtroom dramas I've.
the
Uh,
Client,
yeah,
the Lost Boys.
yes,
You guys
The
like
Wiz,
Fragile Masculine? Well, he
The
wrote that.
Wiz.
He didn't.
Oh,
He
oh,
didn't direct that one.
yeah, you're right. It's like Sidney Lumet directed The Wiz, didn't he? But,
Yeah.
but
And if
yeah,
you love Fragile Masculinity, the movie, also known as Falling Down, he
Falling Down.
directed that.
Yes, I
He
actually,
directed Phantom of the Opera and Phone Booth's a really good movie, and Tigerland's pretty good.
I probably, this might make me sound like a bad theater kid, but I actually did like Joel Schumacher's rendition of Phantom. But then again, I probably need to see the stage version.
Hmm.
Uh, but yes, um, and also he has awesome taste in music because he produced the soundtrack albums to both Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah, and the Smashing Pumpkins have a cool song from Batman and Robin.
yeah.
Two of them actually, because it was kind of a weird remix, and they used a remix
Hmm.
version for the trailer to Watchmen.
Watchmen. Yeah,
Yeah, they did, didn't they? And it was
Yeah,
really good.
but this is actually what got I actually got interested in Seal as a singer um, after that, because he actually has a whole lot of really good songs in his catalog. "Prayer for the Dying" is a good one. Um, there's also a more complete version of "Kiss from a Rose" that wasn't on the soundtrack, but it
nice.
is. Yeah, but yes, that is a very good pick, Cody. Anything more you want to say about it, Chris?
No, just a great '90s. Again, like another great power ballad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great song, and whether you like or don't like Batman Forever, I think this song is went on to be more popular than the movie, even though Batman Forever was a big hit in the time it came
Oh
out.
yeah, it was. I didn't get to
I
see
mean,
it until it came out on video, but it was. But I liked it. I actually had models of the Batmobile and Batwing that I built.
Nice.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite Batman Fever of '89, but it was pretty big in the summer of '95.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I did like
that
Val
first one.
Kilmer's Batman. They just didn't give him much to do because big problem with Batman movies is he's a secondary character in his own freaking movie, and
Hmm.
they finally fixed it with the Batman.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right, so Chris, what's your last pick?
Okay. Well, let's see. This song is another Annie Lennox song. I think it comes from the greatest trilogy
I knew
known
it.
to cinema. And this song, again, and I'm trying not to be morbid, but along with Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, I want this played at my funeral or my memorial as well, because this song feels like a warm hug that is like pumpkin spice and warm apple pie scented candles and fall, like all wrapped into one. And I think it's just a really great song that two of the writers from this franchise wrote for the movie, and they were able to
Okay.
get Annie Lennox to sing it. And I think that it, like, even if I were to read the books, I would play this at the end because it feels like it just wraps up the journey uh, in this one song. Like it's just so soothing, and I think they did an amazing job with it. And that is Into the West for Return of the King.
Okay.
I think it is a gorgeous song. It's just like I said, it feels like a big warm hug. And after you watch, especially if you watch the extended versions, and you just you plow through them, or you've read the book, and you're really invested in it, and then that song comes on, you're like, okay, it's okay. That's it's all good now. Like
Yeah, I
it's just really soothing. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like a slice of warm apple pie and coffee and fall weather and you know just warmth. It feels good.
I
It's sad, and it makes you sad, but it makes you feel good at the same time.
I need to actually listen to that because I have, like, I am not a Tolkien fan, but I have
You know,
seen all three Lord of the Rings movies in the theaters, so I do know that they're good, and um, but I don't really remember that song.
yeah, I just remember hearing it for the first time. And I was one of those fans. I was there opening day. I bought tickets in advance. Like it was a really big deal to me, like Star Wars was. And I, you're invested in that trilogy for 3 years in the culmination of it, and it goes beyond your expectation because, again, I consider this movie trilogy to be my number one movie trilogy, and it's even with the changes that he had to make to adapt it to film, they're forgivable. They're he did such a great job with adapting this trilogy that you invest your 3 years of your life to it, and you're like, man, I cannot wait till it's
Well,
over.
I mean, in reality, I guess it's more like 5 years of his life because I think they started filming in '99.
Yeah,
Right. Well, I mean, as a watcher, as a movie watcher,
Oh yeah, as a watcher,
and
3 years, and
you're
it's
sitting there.
really. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I was working at the Jacksonville Theater when the third movie came out, and I got to decorate the lobby, and like we dressed up, like I was really invested in it, and we got to preview it earlier in the day of the day that it was released, and I remember that, like, I wasn't let down by the first two films, so I went in with it with high expectations, and they were met. I mean, and that song just like was like a warm hug. It was like, oh man, you made it. Like Peter Jackson did this, and it was amazing. And not just Peter Jackson, but the team, his whole team did it. He was able to adapt this, and it came out so well. And this song is so soothing. It made you feel like you were a part of the journey, and it was done. Like, it was a big pat on the back. Like, you did it as a fan. You wrote it out for 3 years. Thank you. And it was it's a beautiful song, and I think it's just really well done, and it fits the characters really well. I think it was just a really well done, and it's one of my favorites. It's just a beautiful song, I think.
Yeah, and again, even as a casual fan, I knew how much of a big deal Lord of the Rings uh, was. I mean, it pretty much, solidified, you know, it's like the fantasy genre being, um, basically getting a soft reboot is the wrong term for it, but um, revival, I guess, because there were a lot of these kinds of movies back in the 80s. Not so
Right.
much in the 90s. Like, there was, like, maybe one or two, but once that 1-2 punch of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings happened, it was, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
And not
there,
only was it a revival, it was kind of like skyrocketed the genre to the mainstream because a lot of those fantasy films in the 80s were not commercial successes upon original theatrical release.
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say that, growing up. Don't get me wrong, Conan is such a heavy metal movie. Like, I love that movie, but when Fellowship came out, it was on such a grand scale, and everything looked just amazing. And the score is, a huge part of that film. Like, they each had a closing song. Enya did one, and I cannot remember the girl's name who did the Smeagol song for the second film, and I feel bad because
Mm.
I can hear it in my head. And then you had Annie
Uh,
Lennox doing the
yeah.
closing, kind of wrapping up the film.
Also, that was unprecedented at the time for them to film all three of those at the same time, and then that they
Especially,
got released so close together.
Right.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it was a major risk that paid off tremendously. I mean, people, like, first one came out, what, 2000, 2000, like, or
2001.
2001. 23 years later, people still talk about it. People
Right.
still say, "Oh, let's watch Lord of the Rings extended." It is
They
I was
just re-released them into theaters, and apparently they're doing quite well. The extended versions.
Yeah, I
yeah.
watch them once a year. And November is Tolkienvember for me, and that's when I watch them because the weather's right. Uh,
Yeah.
it's where you're cozying up and staying warm, and to me,
And,
it's like kind of
and
the perfect time to watch them.
so much so Hollywood's still trying to replicate the success they got with that trilogy.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think the biggest contributor is just catapulting nerd culture into just plain culture.
Right.
Hmm.
I was asked yesterday, the other day in my last week, actually, in my therapy. Uh, my counselor asked me, he goes, "Well, explain masculinity to me." Like, and I said, "Well, there's the type that I grew up with and the type I'm trying to be." And I said, "Since I'm a huge nerd, I'll give you two examples. Like, you grow up, especially here in East Texas, and uh, with the type of mindset around here, you grow up with the John Wayne mentality or mindset.
Which,
And what I would like to be and what I'm striving to be is the Aragorn uh, the Aragorn type of masculinity, like the Aragorn positive uh, masculinity, where it's okay to cry and
I
it's
get that.
it's okay to be soft and yet defensive when you need to be. You can be a badass, but also embrace all of those qualities. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So
This actually, what you just said reminds me of what Peter Cullen was said in an interview once when he was talking about trying to find the voice for Optimus Prime, and it came from his brother, former Marine, and he said, "Be strong enough to be gentle,"
yep,
and that to me en- encapsulates what you just said because you know. Those of you who don't know, my model for masculinity is Superman. And
yeah,
of course, not just because, I mean, actually, the least of the um, those reasons because he could bench press a mountain and fly. Those were my reasons back when I was like 6 or 7, but now it's those reasons. The reasons are because Superman is a good person. He has all these powers, and he chooses to be kind with them.
Hmm.
right.
And
That's a good
for some
example.
odd reason, that part is the most unbelievable, let's say, unrealistic part of Superman's mythos. The fact that he's a good person, but
Yeah.
that's a rant for another time. So that, but yeah, I completely get what you're saying with that, Chris. Um, and also, anything more to say about these songs? I will when we get done with this podcast. I'll actually look at this song and tell you what I think about it because I'm always
Okay.
up for new music.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah,
Great,
I definitely love to hear your thoughts.
yeah. Cody,
I mean, it's a powerful song. It's a moving song. Um, so Annie Lennox is a legend, and of course, Lord of the Rings. They're iconic films, and they're going to go down in history as some of the greatest films ever made.
yeah.
I just think it's one more closing thought, and I think it's really great that they were able to take and write these songs for 3 fantasy movies and them not turn out cheesy or be these really weird power ballads that didn't fit these films. Like each
Yeah.
song
Hmm.
fits the narrative, it fits the feel of the song, and they're done in such a way that it's not a pop song or a power ballad or something like that. It's just a gorgeous song that just flows and fits with the soundtrack.
Uh, well, my last pick is a pop song. It's like one of the pop. It's like you mentioned this earlier, Cody, and yeah, it feels like a lost art. He had that one soundtrack song that talks about the plot of the movie, and this one is mine, "On Our Own" by Bobby Brown from Ghostbusters
Ah,
2.
Yeah, it's such a good song. It's fun. Um, it does lose points if you watch the music video, though, because the music video includes Donald Trump in it.
I
oh yeah, I remember
I
that.
for some odd I was thinking of that video is kind of a shout out to Ray Parker Jr.'s video from Ghostbusters because he had the whole dance with the cast, and there were some bits with the. I definitely remember Rick Moranis in that music
Yeah,
video too.
Yeah. But yeah, he does start rapping or singing about the plot of the movie because he doesn't he
Yes.
say something about Vigo trying to battle my boys?
Oh, okay. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They're called the Ghostbusters and they're in control. Got 'em throwing parties for a bunch of children. Wild, the slime was under the building, so they packed up a grip, got a grip, came and quit, got the proton packs in the back and they slipped. Found out about Vigo, the master of evil. To try to battle my boys, that's not legal.
Yeah.
Thank you, I'll be here all week, tip your waitress.
Which, what is the turtle power from Ninja Turtles also wraps the plot of the movie?
Yes. No, there is like all this happened all the time. Like Will Smith's Men in Black.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it's basically talking about the plot of the movie, but it's one of the biggest dance songs ever. It's still, I don't know. I guess probably not so much now since Will Smith's not too, uh, not too.
Well, I guess
Almost out
that's
of
why
name.
he's doing pre-existing franchises to keep his career going because the new Bad Boys movie is doing quite well. But I guess because it's an existing franchise.
Yeah, but yeah, there were songs like that almost all the time. Heck, even in the Prince Batman sound, it didn't talk about the plot of the movie, but there were like he gave you these little. When you look at the lyric sheets, they say, "Oh, this is from the point of Batman. This is from the point of the Joker. This is from the point of Bruce Wayne." And then you have that one, like the huge song that culminated in the end, "Bat Dance,"
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
which is just clips.
Vicky Bell.
Yes, the yes, just clips of the movie somehow interconnected with the Adam West Batman theme.
Uh, um, I actually had this Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack on cassette
I did
because
too. I did
I
too.
found it on a family road trip at a gas station, and I was like, I have to have this because it's the Ghostbusters. I don't know what's on it, but I want it.
Yeah. Well, also, the cartoon was still going really strong at the time.
Right.
Yeah, in '89, yeah, that would mean, yeah, that makes sense.
That's why we get Janine looking the way she does, and we get Winston without his mustache because they wanted him to look more like the cartoons.
Yeah.
Really.
Uh
Yeah.
huh.
Uh, did you guys know Eddie Murphy was originally supposed to play Winston, but he
Yep.
dropped out to do Beverly Hills Cop?
I mean,
Yeah.
not the worst decision,
No, definitely helped his career.
but yeah, I think what made Eddie Murphy a choice for that is how he and Dan Aykroyd played off each other in Trading Places because that came out
Hmm.
like a year prior.
Right.
Yeah.
But and yes, it is not the best of the Ghostbusters movies. Of course, that's always the original. And to me, my favorite Ghostbusters media will always be the real Ghostbusters because that was um, I like the whole Monster of the Week aspect of that show, and we got a little bit more of it in the montage of the movie where you see them busting more ghosts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. I think I mentioned. Yeah, I think I mentioned this a couple of years prior when we actually talked about Ghostbusters 2. There is a comic book adaptation of Ghostbusters 2 where instead of using the actors' likenesses, they use the cartoons.
Yeah, that's right, because Venkman and Ray don't look anything like Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
yeah, the IDW comics, that's it's a little bit closer to what they originally looked like in the movie, but of course the art style in that is just top tier. Uh, and they also acknowledge uh, Ghostbusters 2 existence, and Ghostbusters 2016
Yeah.
Nice. Though Venkman did look like Bill Murray, Lorenzo Music kind of
sounded like
sounds
him.
like Bill Murray. So
Yeah, Actually, I think I mentioned this. I kind of wanted to mention it to Frank Welker, but there was like this. There was obviously a huge line of people wanting to get autographed, but his take on Ray Stantz, it's like Fred, but more kid in a candy store kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my god, this is like, you got slimed? That's great! Actual physical contact! Uh, but there were a lot of pretty decent songs on there. Like, that cover of Higher and Higher.
Hmm.
Um, Boingo Boingo did a pretty good song. Oh, and that's also kind of another thing I wanted to talk about a while back. When I went to that convention, I got to see a interview with Danny Elfman talking about his career. He is back on good terms with Tim Burton and Sam Raimi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I that's good because I
and
think he did the music for the new Beetlejuice that's coming out.
yeah, which is also funny because they didn't even approach him about the musical.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a surprise appearance by Chris Sarandon, the speaking voice of Jack Skellington,
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
and how he didn't expect, like, Nightmare Before Christmas wasn't a huge hit. That wasn't a huge hit when it first came out, but it has a major um, uh,
We
major
are back.
fan following.
Well, yeah. I mean, they sell Nightmare Before Christmas decorations now at Home Depot.
Oh yeah, that movie is everywhere. Like, I think they made either a graphic novel or actual book about Sally.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but other and also this is Bobby Brown at his prime. Like, I think nowadays the younger kids, if they know who Bobby Brown is at all, they know him from that reality show he did with Whitney Houston.
Yeah, he's more famous now for his infamous dealings than is as an actual musical artist, I think.
But yeah, for those of you who don't know, back in the 80s and 90s, Bobby Brown was freaking huge.
Yeah,
Like
he
my
was in a boy band too, right?
New Edition. That was
New
yeah.
Edition.
He
Yeah.
was a New Edition, but I knew him from his solo career. My mom had a tape of "Don't Be Cruel." That's the song that has "My Prerogative" and "Every
Hmm.
Little Step." So yeah, Bobby Brown was a huge artist. So I mean, having him do the soundtrack for Ghostbusters 2, that it wasn't as far fetched at the time.
No. Yeah, that had to be huge in '89 to have Bobby Brown on your son soundtrack.
All right. So either way, like Ghostbusters 2, it's a it is a good movie. I like it, but Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack, that's like fire.
Good. Yeah.
Um, la- any last thoughts?
Well, I I I do have one last thought, and I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't include this one, but that we only did three, but I only thought of it because of Chris's pick list. Always look on the bright side of the life. But I want to mention Paul Williams' work as a soundtrack artist, particularly what he did with the Muppets, especially Rainbow
Oh,
Connection from the Muppet movie.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Classic.
Actually,
Yeah, I mean,
my favorite Muppet movie is actually Muppets Take Manhattan.
well, that's got great music in it too.
Yeah. Um, oh, before we go, I'm not sure if I ever showed this to you. Let me. my record collection. Talking about soundtracks. Yeah. Here is.
Oh, let's follow that bird, man.
Yes, I have. I found it in the original vinyl. Like here.
Nice.
Very
Yeah.
I'm
nice.
pretty sure I watched that movie every day from the age of 2 to 3.
Oh, this came out when I was 5, and it was one. Yeah, it was one of my cherished rewatches back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah, the record itself, it's like they have the songs from the movie, but there are these little interludes where Big Bird basically talks about what happens in the movie.
Huh.
Huh.
Yeah, but also two more soundtrack albums that I have. Oh, dang it! Here we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that Miami Vice?
The from the OG series. Don Johnson,
Nice.
Philip Michael Thomas. My mom watched that show every Friday night, 9 o'clock, KTAL Channel 6.
I mean, that show was unprecedented for how many musical artists not only that they would play songs of theirs, but they would guest star on the show.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, here's the list of all the people.
The
And
scene where they're heading
actually,
into their gunfight with "In the Air Tonight" was really awesome. So
Yep.
actually, the Linkin Park Jay-Z song "Encore" for the movie version's really good too.
Yeah.
uh,
And and also this.
oh,
American Gigolo.
huh?
That has the Blondie song on it, right? Call
It,
Me.
it it is the very first song on this album. Let me see if I can get it.
I've actually never seen that movie.
It's it is a well-made movie, but Richard Gere in that movie is such a dick. But so is everyone else because he's framed for a murder.
Hmm.
Uh, but it actually I heard they actually remade it into a series on Showtime.
Yeah, with John Berthal. I heard it wasn't that great, but you know, might be. But I heard it wasn't great. But I know the movie's iconic and definitely kickstarted Richard Gere's career, and it's very glossy, very 80s.
Yeah, this was I think these two things, Miami Vice and American Gigolo, were the ones that kick-started the whole 80s fashion trends.
Hmm.
But yeah, I have these soundtracks on vinyl. Um, it's like I occasionally play them. I'll play them once I actually figure out what's wrong with the record, my actual record player. So,
You got your sunshades ready for when you put on the Miami Vice soundtrack?
oh, always. All right, so, all right. Any final thoughts, guys?
No, I think we all had a variety of really good picks from again a different range of soundtracks, and I think they were all good picks.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry if we showed our ages with our picks too, that we didn't have anything more modern on here, but you know, we could
Yeah,
only list a few.
yeah.
Yep.
Also, into the Spider Verse soundtrack. That's kick
Hmm.
ass too. That
Yeah, it's an amazing soundtrack. I love it.
actually soundtracks are starting to come back in vogue, and I'm happy about that.
Good deal.
All right, we will.
Yeah, the Barbie soundtrack was good too.
Yes, yes. Even though things kind of blew up with Lizzo, I still love Pink.
Yeah,
Dua Lipa, actually, I've kind of gotten on the Dua Lipa train lately.
She's got some good songs.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, as far as our next discussion, I guess that will be TBA. I've and since I'm actually recording this on YouTube, for those of you who managed to catch this video, like, share, and subscribe. I actually have to do that now since it's on. I had to. So God, for some odd reason, StreamYard wouldn't let me stop having us broadcast to YouTube groups. So I had to use my YouTube account for this. Say thanks, StreamYard. I hate it.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Anyway, it is almost 7:30, and I need to get dinner ready. So,
Yeah,
Well,
I got to
enjoy
split.
dinner, sir.
and we
Thanks
got to
for
do some
having us.
shop. Yeah, and we got to get some shopping done because we're going to the zoo, meeting up with some friends, and we're packing a picnic. So,
Oh, that
Nice.
sounds lovely. Stay
yeah,
cool out there.
yeah, we're gonna go in the morning. So it should be
Yep.
the temperature should be tolerable. All right. Anyway,
Nice.
I'm glad we actually managed to make this episode. I'm hoping to make a lot more throughout the summer. Uh, guy, so I guess we'll talk about that in the group chat.
All right.
Absolutely.
So,
All
You
right.
gentlemen have a lovely evening, and it's always great to chat with y'all.
all right. Of
All right.
course. Definitely.
To our tens of listeners, thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.